J'étais content que nous pas déplacer. M'a rappelé nous que nous suivons Elin Fleury Show et m'inviter tout artiste, musicien, professionnel, sous gain business. Vraiment, m'aimer que dans l'émission ça. Pour venir parler de où, parler de software, parler de business. I mean, nous quittons pas la l'ouvrir pour tout le monde. Et nous avons des invités extraordinaires avec nous et vraiment nous avons quitté parti ça pour la fin. Nous trouvons que c'est une surprise que va faire nous. Et nous pourrons vraiment apprendre un pile de jeunes hommes ça, que m'a dit non tout à l'heure. Et il vraiment l'a fait parler de lui dans Brooklyn. Il fait un pile de travail. Il est vraiment très actif dans la communauté noire. Et nous tout est trouvé que c'est nécessaire pour lui ensemble avec nous là aujourd'hui pour venir parler de tête lui parce que il a une histoire qui est tout à fait spéciale tout. OK, je suis content d'accueillir Harry.
Hard Hittin Harry.
Hard. Okay, why that name Hard? I mean,
Hard Hittin Harry is a name that that I got in high school because everything that I do I hit it hard. You know what I mean? Whether it's work, my business ethic, DJing, I hit it hard. So that's how I got that name.
That's good, and then you keep it, you like it. I mean, it's just, I like it too.
Thank you.
Yes, that's great. And then now tell us about where you're from. You were born in Haiti?
Yes, I was born in Haiti. I was born in Port-au-Prince in 1966. I was born during a hurricane, the major hurricane in 1966 called Hurricane Inez. And so I came in this world in a storm, you know what I mean? It was a great experience, but for a brief moment because I came to the U.S. at 3 years old. So my parents moved to Brooklyn, and I lived on Eastern Parkway. So it was a great experience because when I moved to Brooklyn, the West Indian Day Carnival,
Yes.
it happens on Eastern Parkway,
Yeah.
and I lived on Eastern Parkway. So it was a great experience to experience that, you know what I mean? It was like, wow, you know what I mean? So I actually, came to Brooklyn, and then my parents divorced. At around, 3 years old, they divorced. And then I moved to Canada. And déménagé à Montréal.
Tu te débrouilles très bien en français? Tu parles français très bien?
Un petit peu,
Un petit peu.
J'ai habité Montréal, and I lived in Canada for about 4 years. I lived in Canada about 4 years. And then from Canada, and I lived with my mom. She was a single parent. And then I moved to Jersey. And I lived in Jersey, for most of my teenage years,
Okay.
I went to high school, and that was a great experience too because that's when I started DJing.
OK. Then, mais quel âge que tu as gagné là? Tu as commencé
Vers 17 ans, 18 ans.
OK, then how was...
17, 18 years old.
Then how... I mean, qui ça qui était premier bagage qui t'a motivé à prendre une carrière comme ça?
Well, t'étais de radio. I listened to the radio. During the 80s, it was like, DJs like Red Alert, DJs like Mr. Magic on WBLS, qui influenced me, it influenced me. And, when I listened to the radio, I studied their mixes, and, I just really got, to listen to their music. And then, maman et papa, you jouais musique haïtienne, compas, voodoo, racine, music panyol, you know what I mean? So my parents played everything, especially my father. Like my father was a DJ in Haiti too. He was on the radio in Haiti.
Oh.
So that was, I want to say that was my biggest influence, my father,
Okay.
And so, at home, quand on m'attendait tabou
Toute qualité musique.
Toute qualité. Tabou combo, skacha, coupé cloué, tout barré comme ça. And, of course, Julio Iglesias, and, Mireille Mathieu, and, so toute qualité
Enrico
musique.
Macias.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was influenced heavily by my parents with music, and then when I came to America, of course, listening to the radio, hip hop, R&B, house music, tout barré comme ça.
OK.
So, yeah.
Mais est-ce que à un certain temps où tu fait partie d'un band, parce que moi, en majorité DJ, they're not only DJ for themselves, but sometimes they are with a band.
Yeah, no, that didn't come until later. That didn't come until
Okay.
later. that was when I hooked up with my partner, Earthman, Richard Earthman Laurent, with the Earthman Experience. That didn't come until later, but DJing really for me in the beginning was more about, developing a name and a following for myself. So, quand on fait un pile fête, un pile, college parties and, weddings, baby showers, christenings, by comme ça. So that's what really, got my name out there,
Okay.
And then of course radio, because after high school, I said, I didn't want to go to college. I wanted the more hands-on, with what I wanted to do in terms of radio. Okay. So I researched this school in Manhattan at the time, in Times Square, called Announcer Training Studios. And that school was a hands-on school that really pretty much taught you how to be on the radio.
Okay.
It taught you how to, at the time, it taught you how to cut tape.
You didn't
reel
have to study
reel
anything.
to reel, and
Okay.
how to read copy, how to
Okay.
read copy on the air, and things like that, and it was a very different time back then. I had to get an FCC license to be on the air. I don't know if DJs have to do that nowadays, but I had to do that. So it was a great experience for me, and the teachers were actual radio personalities. They were actually on the radio at
That
the
was
time,
great.
so they had the experience to teach us. So when I graduated from that situation, I ended up on a radio station in Jersey, coincidentally in Jersey where I live, called WSOU, Seton Hall University Radio. It was a community radio show called Quest Community Vibrations. And that was every Sunday morning. And my teachers at the time, the school said, you would never be on the radio here in New York when you finish school.
Are you serious? Oh.
They said that. They said, you would never. Usually DJs, when they graduate from the school, they have to start at a radio station down south somewhere, or never in New York. But I ended up on WSOU, which was heard on 89.5 FM in the tri-state area. So that was my beginning, in radio, and I was very grateful and thankful for that. So from then on, I just kept doing it, just kept DJing and kept, working for different stations like WGBB, WNJR, in Jersey,
Okay.
Stations like that. So I got my name out there, you know what I mean?
This is awesome. I remember there was a part dans article récent que j'ai écrit au sujet de vous, quand tu as parlé de aventure avec Wyclef and the Fugees.
Fugees.
Can you tell us a
Yes.
little bit about that?
Well, Gonzame qui était New Jersey, qui était Levi, and he was good friends with Wyclef. And at the time, Wyclef and Lauren and Praz had just signed to Sony and Fugees, right? They had just signed to Sony, and Yopako, at the time they didn't blow up. They were still in the beginning stages of the Fugees. And, he told me, he said they were looking for a DJ. So I went to the Booger Basement studio in Jersey, and I actually auditioned for Wyclef, Lauren, and Praz, and I made it.
Okay.
They hired me, to be the DJ. Of course, I didn't get paid, but it was a great experience because I got a chance to do a lot of shows with them.
Okay.
In the very beginning. They had to do a lot of shows. Fugees, at that time, they weren't the Fugees that became superstars back then. Back then, they had to do a lot of showcases, even for the record label, because the record label didn't even understand the Fugees. And salute to Wyclef, I gotta say salute to Wyclef. Wyclef had a vision at the time. He said, I don't wanna do any shows without my DJ and without my band. It has to be together. So whenever they booked shows, they had to have the DJ and the band.
Okay.
He did not want to do it. They said, okay, you could do the show without the band, but we don't want the DJ. He would be like, no, we're not doing the show.
Awesome.
So that was a beautiful, he had a vision that this is what he wanted to do. So he always had to have a DJ and a band. So I made the cut, and we did a lot of shows. A lot of shows they got booed. A lot of shows they got booed, not because they were garbage or they were whack, but because they were different, and people, they just knew that, that this was something different, something that was about to happen. And Wyclef always wore the Haitian flag on his back. You know, he always wore the Haitian flag like a cape on his back, and he represented Haiti all the time. You know what I mean? So it was a beautiful thing to witness. And I got fired. You know, I got fired. You know, and it was a beautiful. You know, I always say when you get fired, one door closes, what? Another opens.
Yes, that's
so,
right.
You know, they made certain decisions, you know, that they needed to make. I got fired, and then I ended up becoming a publicist.
Then, in the meanwhile, what was your objective at that time? What was your vision?
My vision at the time was, it was definitely to expose myself to new audiences, to help them, of course, Medeo, you know, do their thing as their DJ. But I definitely had a bigger vision because the Fugees was always about Wyclef, Lauren, and Pras. Nothing wrong with that. But I wanted to be an individual. I wanted to be myself. I wanted the people to recognize me for Hard Hittin Harry as a DJ.
Nous pas vraiment prendre une pause, but nous allons quitter Harry just aider nous faire passer un bon petit moment.
Hard hittin Harry, Harry.
J'en a fonctionné, y'a pas bien. Respect toujours vient en premier. Moi pas qu'un mauvais dossier. Chérie, je n'ai rien à cacher. Plein à c'est toujours belle romance. Dans la vie c'est longue distance. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Pour qui ou pas vrai.
Hit
Allez, comment on voit le vibe? Donc, question de vibe. Si vous sleep. DJ Douli. Ça pour ça. Bamguida. Les Antilles. La Floride. Haïti. Montréal, Canada.
OK, nous retournons. Je me dit noir. Ça, c'est des surprises à nous quitté pour la fin avec DJ Harry. C'est comme ça, les DJ, dans la communauté noire, la fait des bagages très importants dans la communauté noire. La jouer musique haïtienne, vraie musique haïtienne a monté à travers l'émission. Et les fête, tout partout, vraiment, la supporter la culture là. Nous vraiment apprécions ça, Harry, et je merci de ce que tu as participé ensemble avec nous.
Merci.
OK.
I'm going à la station tout.
OK.
Yeah,
Qui...
WBAI 99.5 FM, chaque mardi, minuit pour 2 heures.
OK, c'est comme ça nous sommes capables, si nous voulons joindre plus de Harry. That's right, that's right. Je dis tout, invitez-nous, merci. Je dis merci à Marie-Edline, Marie-Claire. OK, smile on my face. OK.
Your record.
OK, thank you, Harry. That's right, côté de aller. Je veux dire merci parce que la vraie musique ça a monté à travers l'émission Parlant. Merci en pile de ce que tu as regardé l'émission. Et nous nous retrouvons une prochaine fois avec d'autres invités, avec d'autres mondes. On a fait des mondes qui vraiment souqué boy ici. On a fait ça. OK, et merci en pile et puis à la prochaine. OK, je suis vraiment content. Merci. Merci. OK, dis-moi qui ça comprend la musique.